So I started to film this video once and then my microphone decided to give up. So let's try this again. So in this video, we are going to be talking about taking ownership as a cinematographer. We're going to be talking about the questions that you ask when you get requested to do a job. When you get asked to do a job, what are you doing? How are you showing up as a cinematographer right out of the gate? How are you going to make the project better, and how are you going to make your workflow and your images better before anything even moves forward with the project? If you're new here, I'm Sancho Sakurai. I've been a cinematographer for 15 years now. I've shot for brands like Adidas, T-Mobile, ESPN, Google. I've worked with Leon Bridges, and I've shot 2 full-length feature films. Now on this channel, we talked candidly. We talk about being a filmmaker. We talk about being cinematographers. So welcome if you are new here. Oh man, that coffee is dark. I over roasted it. I roast my coffee at home. It's too cold outside and I had to push the heat up a little bit and it tastes kind of like Starbucks and we don't like that. But let's get into today's topic. So I get these inquiries often about shooting a job, about being a cinematographer. And often the first thing that they ask, it's going to be maybe it's someone from an agency, maybe it's a producer. You don't actually always know who's reaching out to you first, and it's a little fragmented. It's kind of all over the place. And they're like, are you available for these days? Which I think is a fair question, because if you're not available, then we don't want to waste any time talking more about the project. But what's funny about that is they often ask that, and sometimes that's all they ask. And it's like, yes, I'm available. But maybe you're early in your career. Maybe you are transitioning out of being, filling another role on set, a PA or a grip or a camera assistant, and you want to know what the job is about. Maybe they know that you have been getting into being a cinematographer, but what are they trying to hire you for? And this will happen all the time. People just be like, are you available? And it's like, what are you trying to hire me for? This is so common. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready to have questions in the bank to ask these people when they inquire about a job. Listen, you want to do the best job that you can do, right? You want to make the best images as possible. You want the job to go smoothly. So you need to figure out what the job is about. And it's so often that there's so many things that you need to know before you can start problem solving, start building a kit, building a crew, etc., etc. First thing that I try to ask, and see, that's another thing too. Maybe a director reaches out to you, which ideally you want there's maybe if you're doing a commercial, you've got a creative agency, ad agency, etc. They're reaching out to a production company. Maybe not. Maybe they're going right to a director. But ideally, they kind of go down the line like that. Director then picks their DP. DP then picks most of the rest of the crew, because it's really the DP's set. Something you need to remember. If the producer's coming in, it's like, I'm hiring all these people. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. And I was just talking about this with a friend earlier. I was running a camera, another DP, and we were talking about this. I should get to pick who my gaffer is, because of shorthand, because of workflow purposes, because of how we work on set. So, but they might want to pick, their homie, or we work with this person a lot, so we'd like to work with them. That's going to happen, and you need to be ready for that. And that's okay. I'm sure they're extremely capable, right? But you might be able to make a better image, or your workflow and the project might go smoother if you pick the people that you are most you work the best with, or you've worked with a lot in the past, or you understand their level of expertise, what they're good at, etc. Right? So they're all questions that you want to ask. But that's kind of ideally what happens, but that's not usually what happens, right? So you need to be prepared for this. So quickly you're going to want to know, what's the creative? Sometimes you don't know the creative. They're like, we're doing this thing for this brand. Okay. That can mean a lot of things. So you get the creative, that will answer a lot of questions. Maybe there's a creative brief, maybe there's a pitch deck, or maybe you got to jump on a call with the director or the agency or whoever is planning it to figure out what you're even shooting. Then you can start answering a lot of those questions yourself, right? But a lot of times there's not stuff like that. Sometimes there's not. And so then it's like, okay, well, what's the scope? Is the brand Coca-Cola? Or is the brand Joe Schmo roofer in your local area, right? Is the scope allowing for multiple days? Is it allowing for a full crew? Is it just a social video, right? You need to learn all of these things, because I think there's a misconception out there in the other parts of the industry. They don't know who you are and what you're trying, like you're a cinematographer. That can mean a lot of things. That can mean you shoot weddings. That can mean you shoot social content. That can mean you shoot high budget commercials, right? So you almost have to set these expectations out of the gate. And so you got to start asking questions. What is the scope, right? Well, okay, you asked me to be, if I was available for 2 days. So the scope can't be too small, right? 2 days means, double the budget for crew, because that means 2 days. Day rates, everything is usually a day rate. And then it's like, okay, is this going to go on TV? Is this going to go on Instagram? Is this going to go on YouTube? Is it national? Is it regional, right? And it like starts to help you solve problems. Like, oh, this is a national commercial. Maybe I should use a really nice camera that's not going to miss. We're going to have flawless images all day. Oh, this is just like a social thing that is going to be played at this time on a phone. Okay, well, maybe I don't need the best camera. Maybe I don't need the biggest and best camera for a shoot like that, right? And this is for you to decide as a cinematographer what makes sense for the job. This is why I have so many cameras, and my plan is to have so many cameras. I just sold my red Komodo, and it was my A cam for a long time, honestly, for a lot of things. It became my B cam. I shot a whole movie on the red Komodo, but now I have my red Monstro as my A camera. Komodo is gone now. So happy for Kyler. He owns a little acting studio here, and he's trying to get the actors, they get to learn acting in front of real cinema cameras and really learn how to be around a set and crew and learn how to act in that way, because it's one thing to act, but it's another thing to act actually on a set. So he teaches them that, and I'm really happy that he's got his hands on the Komodo now. But so I'll probably be replacing that with a Nikon ZR. Don't get crazy about that. I've talked a lot about the Nikon ZR and how it's a bad camera and a good camera. The reason it works for me is I shoot red. I just need a full frame camera that best image quality to size ratio. So often my B camera is just going to be, hung from the ceiling, placed in a car, mounted to something, 1 or 2 shots a shoot. That's it. So the ZR is actually kind of perfect for me. The Komodo was still kind of too big. A lot of times I would end up rigging it out to do this sort of stuff anyways. So it's okay that the Komodo is gone, but it's like it's nice to have a few different types of cameras if you need to. Ideally you ideally you own a camera that can kind of do everything. But there really is no perfect camera. But you can, we'll talk about that maybe in another video, but you can kind of make one camera work if you have to. But you need to know, right? Like, so what do I need to show up with? Are we able to rent expensive lenses? Do I need to bring my own lenses? Are we going vintage? Are we going sterile, right? These are all these questions that you need to walk in and show up and start asking these questions. Be prepared. Figure out what the shoot is about and start moving into that. That's your pre-production, right? There will be shot listing and storyboarding and location scouting, of course. And I say, of course, there's often times where the agencies are not prepared for this. So for me, in my workflow, I want to get ahead of all of this stuff, right? I want to start setting expectations as quick as possible. This is how much I cost. This is how much my cameras cost. I also have a grip van. I have a small grip van package with lights. This is how much they cost. That comes with wireless monitoring. Oh, but you need this special thing. Okay, that's how much that costs. Get ahead of all this stuff, because otherwise you're showing up on set and they're like, we want to do this cool shot and we want to do this. And you're like, I don't have the tools to do that. I'm not prepared for that right now. And if we want to solve that problem right now, it's going to cost some money. Are you prepared to pay for that? Right? These are all these things that you need to start asking immediately. And you'll get better at it as you get further in your cinematography career. As you do more things, you solve more problems, you'll know how to solve these problems. But maybe it's a matter of just calling someone else and saying something. Or maybe it's just a matter of being like, this is a problem that needs to be solved, and maybe the producer can do it for you. A good producer can do so much for you, right? A lot of times though, there aren't producers for like certain types of jobs. Like maybe there's an in-house person at the ad agency in your local ad, like maybe in your city, that's handling this production, right? Maybe they don't have a producer that's like that all they do, right? So you have to have your own back. You have to be your own producer a lot of times in that way, right? So you get the creative, you figure out the scope, then you can start planning these things. You ask a few more questions. How much time do we have to do certain stuff? Maybe that dictates what you need now. right? And then the crew thing, then you're trying to figure out, okay, what crew would be best for this job? I have a lot of different people that I work with, gaffers, etc. I try to bring them basically the same camera assistant on as much as I can because we have a shorthand. They know my kit. I don't have to really say much when we get there. They can just start setting stuff up, right? But there's gonna be plenty of times where that's not gonna work for you. But hopefully the camera assistant you do get is just very capable and can handle things. The gaffers, though, I've got gaffers that I work with where it's like, oh, this is a big commercial. We need as many different types of modifiers. We need specialty things. So maybe I go to this person for that. But often, I'm doing, similar size shoots, and I've got another gaffer that I work with. He's just kind of a homie, right? I want to be with him for 10 hours on a set. Like him and I are going to hang out, and he is also capable, right? But maybe we don't have, the same specialty gear, or maybe he hasn't worked on as much higher level stuff, but he's a good hang. So these are different things. So it's like, oh, maybe this is a job that's kind of just like, I want this type of job to be this kind of vibe, and this type of job is this kind of vibe, right? So you have to find this out before you go into it. So this is a part of that questionnaire. And then you can start picking people like that. Be like, oh, okay, this is definitely a job for so-and-so. This is definitely a job for so-and-so. We'll definitely need this camera for this job. And this is why there's all this debate about what camera to buy and how impossible it is. And I always get these questions over and over again. This camera or this camera? This camera or this camera? Guys, I need to know what you're shooting before I can answer that question. So I have to ask that question to every single person that asks me this camera or this camera. Every single time I have to go, what are you shooting? Right? So can one camera work in a lot of environments? Yes. Actually, the Komodo was a decent one for that. I was able to make the Komodo work from an array of projects because it could shoot red raw at a really high quality, but it also I could do high compression, and it was tiny, and I could put little lenses on it, so you could do a smaller shoot with it, right? So there is a camera, and there's a sweet spot sometimes for those sort of things, and a price sweet spot too, right? Because an Arri Alexa is going to cost $80,000 to $100,000. Maybe you don't want to shoot a social video on that because they can't afford to pay for the camera, and you should be charging appropriately for the camera. Sometimes you show up with your camera just because you want to and you have to, but a lot of the times, they need to be able to insure it and they need to be able to pay for it. So having multiple cameras kind of gets you out of that rut if you're not working only on large budget things, right? So, but there's cameras in the middle. Cameras in the middle can be nice. It's like, oh, okay, I'll give you a discount on my camera because I really want to use it. That often happens too. That's happening on a shoot I have coming up. There's an in-house agency. They have their own cameras, and I just said, I don't want to use your camera. I want to use my camera. I'm going to make a better image. I'm going to do a better job if I use my camera. Eventually, the budget didn't really work, apparently. And so then it's like, okay, that's fine. I will give you a discount on my camera. That way I can come show up with it and do the best job possible for me. You are providing a service, but remember, you're not a plumber. Plumber is going to charge you an hourly rate, and they're going to show up with their gear. But for us, our gear gets extremely expensive, and it's specialty. It's specialty. If you want a better looking image, sometimes you're going to have to pay for it, or a specific type of image, or a specific type of lens, right? What lenses are we going to bring on the shoot? Is there budget for that? So that needs to be allocated, and that expectation needs to be set. It took me a long time to figure this out. I would just be like, all right, yeah, I got the job. Let's do it. What are we doing? Right? And at first that's fine, have fun and do that sort of stuff. But then it became very I'm a dialed now. It's like, what do I need to bring? Who can come? Who's going to be on the crew? Is it a travel job? Is it not a travel job? Is it something that we're going to be in, there's certain things that as you start doing it for a very long time, there's other things you're going to start to see. Is it humid? Is it going to be raining? Is it going to be snowing? Humidity is strange. If you have to let the lenses sit out for a while, coming from an air conditioned room outside, if you're shooting in the jungle, because your lenses are going to be fogged up for 20 minutes, right? These are all little things that you'll learn over time, but setting those expectations early, that way the budget and the schedule can be set up in a way that best helps you create the best image and you do the best job that you can. Right. So I just want to talk about this because I think that it's something that I didn't always think about. I didn't know what questions to ask yet. So I hope this video helps with that. I hope that It gets your brain moving on like, oh, there's a lot of questions to ask when you get an inquiry about a job. It's not just availability. Like, you're not just going to show up. There's a lot to figure out. And with me, I even go farther with that. I'm like, what's the location look like? What's the wardrobe look like? What are the tones we're trying to go for, right? Then you get the whole thing like, okay, do I need to pull some stills? Do we need to get some references? These are all conversations you can have with the director or the creative agency. And those are all the creative side of it. But right now I'm kind of more talking about the logistical side of it. What's going to help you do your job better? Well, I talk about a lot of this stuff in my course. It's called the DP Mindset. We go over, grabbing frames, taking ownership of the image, and, problem solving. So if you're interested in that, I do have a link to that in the description below. We also have a community growing over there, so we can actually, talk about this together. You can ask me questions in the Discord community, and I can better help you through those. Maybe you got a shoot coming up and you want to ask, how would you handle that? I can answer stuff like that in the community there. So sign up and join us if you are interested. But yeah, I just feel like when I started out, I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I was just like, yeah, let's do the job. You run into so many problems that way. And we're not setting expectations. Then money gets kind of funny. And, at the end of the day, you are doing this as a career and you do want to get paid adequately for what you do. And I'm a kind of a stickler at this point with that sort of stuff. So if they're like, we can't afford your camera, like I just said, I'm going to bring my camera on one of these shoots because I so badly want to use my camera for this shoot because I know it's going to impact me. And so I can call that's an investment for me, right? I know that my images will come out better and the shoot will go more smoothly because I brought my camera. But also, there's certain times where maybe that doesn't make sense. And you're like, I'm sorry, if you cannot afford the camera, then I cannot bring it. Right. So we have to then compromise. I'm going to have to shoot this on something cheaper. Or there's a time constraint. And so I like to set expectations for that. It's like, okay, well, it's the triangle, fast, cheap, and good, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe this won't be as good because of this. And I do my best to set those expectations. That way we don't get into, the later and they're like upset at me for not being able to solve a problem that they expect the DP to be able to solve. So if you can get on the front end of your projects, if you can get all these questions asked and answered and figured out, your project and your shoot is going to go much smoother. So what do you ask? What are some questions you ask that I didn't mention here on your projects? Or what is something that stood out to you? Or maybe if you have more questions about what I said here, let me know in the comments below. But that's it for me in this video. As always, guys, I'm Sakurai. Peace.